back to another episode of Game Day Feast. So we took a slight hiatus just to take care of some things in my personal life, but we're back. It's just been the holiday season, the football playoffs are on the way, basketball's just starting, and we're going to take some of those holiday leftovers and make some awesome sliders. So we're going to start by making a really quick slaw. And this is the slaw that I'll use on just about any sort of barbecue sandwich even. But today we're going to take it and put it on some leftover roasted turkey, Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday-inspired sliders. So we're just going to take a little bit of this red cabbage, slice it nice and thinly. You could use the mandolin if you want to, but I have a nice sharp knife, so I'm good there. And then we're going to take those slices, chop it up just a little bit, and that's going to go into our bowl here. And we're going to go about 1 part red cabbage to 2 parts green cabbage. So I'll actually just kind of take a wedge off of this. So traditionally you wouldn't think slaw to go with a holiday roast turkey. But we want to add a little bit of texture to the sandwich, and we need to let this marinate. And everything else is going to go so quickly because we're going to be using leftovers, that we want to get this going as early as possible. You could even start this the night before and let it marinate. So I'm going to add just a little bit more of the green cabbage. There we go. Making slaw's messy work. You could also do this in like a food processor if you wanted to, and just shave it all down real quick. Whatever you prefer and whatever makes everything easier, right? It's game day. You want to get everything done as quickly and easily as possible. There we go. So we just mix that with our hands a little bit. And then I have some cilantro here. And we don't want to bruise it, so just nice and lightly. You could also pick this if you want to with your fingers. So now we've got some nice colors here. We've got some of the red cabbage, some of the green cabbage, got the cilantro. Mix that up. So hopefully you can even see from there all the colors we've got going. And now, very much like my mango salsa, we're just going to season this with lime. I'm not a big fan of mayonnaise in a coleslaw, or really mayo much in general. I know, it's a little un-American. But I like the brightness that comes from the citrus. So we're going to add an entire lime here. Squeeze that in. I try not to waste anything. There we go. And the other half. It's always a good workout too. Squeezing away. Now we're going to hit it with just a little bit of salt. Okay. And now, rather than put our hands into the lime juice, we'll actually grab a utensil. Just give this a bit of a mix and a stir. And make sure that you get that lime juice all over it. You can go with 2 limes if you want it extra acidic, but I don't know that that's really necessary for what we're about to be doing with all of these rich leftover holiday meal flavors. So we've got that all mixed up. I'm going to pop this in the fridge, and then we're going to get out some of those leftovers, and we're going to start talking about these amazing turkey sliders. Alright, so I just cleaned down my board. I got the cabbage and everything put away. We're not going to need that again. And now we're going to start talking about getting the initial prep work ready for the sliders that we're making today. So what I have is a 13x9 glass Pyrex, and I'm going to take some butter, and we're just going to butter the Pyrex. And this is going to act as our barrier so that anything that gets on the Pyrex itself hopefully doesn't stick too much, especially since we're going to be adding some delicious cranberry sauce, and the sugar content in there can make cleaning this an absolute pain. Could you line this with a parchment paper or something? Yeah, you definitely can, but I don't know. I like the butter. It's the holidays. We're not going to try to feel too guilty. So we have our nice buttered Pyrex. You can see that we've gotten just about every little nook and cranny. And then we have some potato rolls, a dozen of them. So with our serrated knife, we're going to take the rolls and we're not going to break them apart from these sections. And we're going to go nice and evenly through the rolls. And remember, when you're using a serrated knife, it's not about pressure, it's about the stroke of the knife and going back and forth, and you want to let the teeth do the work, especially if you're cutting bread. If you push into it, you mash it together. So we've got it nice in half, and we're just going to pop that straight into the pan. We're going to do the same with the second set here. Again, nice long strokes of the knife, making sure that we're staying nice and even through the middle of the bread so that we don't have a fat end and a really thin end. And that's going to go into there as well. We're going to set this aside for the moment. Let's take a look at what we have going on the stove. Alright, so we have a lot of different things that are going on here. We've got some gravy heating up in one pan. We've got some chicken broth or turkey broth, whichever you have, going in a pot, right? That is your best friend whenever you're doing the holiday sort of cooking. And then we've got some cranberry sauce going on in the back burner here. Just bringing that back up nice and warm. And then, in my house, there's never any leftover stuffing or dressing. Technically, I didn't cook this in the turkey, so this would be a bread dressing. So I made a fresh batch this morning for the sake of the show. We have our 9x13 pan back out, or our Pyrex. We've taken the top half off, and the first step here is actually going to be leftover mashed potatoes. So we're going to take the potato, and I know you're thinking potato roll, potato bread. Yeah, carb on carb, I get that. But the potato is really important for what we're doing because it's going to act as that barrier for all of the more wet ingredients that we're going to put on there. And quite frankly, it's not the holidays without a little bit of mashed potato, in my opinion. And we're going to do the same thing here as well, right? I like to spread it a little bit more thinly because I don't want so much potato on there that it takes away from the turkey, because let's be honest, that's supposed to be the star. So as far as the amount that you're going to put on, that's completely up to you. And if you're making a sandwich, you go edge to the best of your ability, right? We don't want any bites without the ingredient. So, we've got our mashed potato. We're going to pop over and see gravy's looking good, heat's off. Cranberry sauce is nice and loosened up. Another trick there, if you're not happy with the consistency of your cranberry sauce, add a little bit of orange juice to it. And now we have our turkey. Okay, so we're taking the turkey off the stove. On the pot holder here, you can see there's a little bit of simmer and steam coming. And we've got some tongs here. So we're going to grab our turkey. Oh yeah, it's nice and warm, it's not hot. And we just want to let the broth drip off. And we're going to start putting that all over the sliders as well. Here we go. So, the holidays are really important to me, and really, especially the December holidays, because it's one of the few times during the year that my whole family gets together and I get to see them. Most of us are very local, but my Uncle Tom and Aunt Julie and my cousin Tyler are down in Texas. And if you don't know, I'm from New Jersey. And then the rest of my family is New Jersey or PA. So, you know, this year has been hard on everybody because basically everybody stayed home because of the virus. And it's been hard on me too. But you may have noticed the shirt I've got wearing today. It's from this awesome company called Here For You. They're located out of Boston. And we actually ended up getting in contact to try to work together and to spread this idea of body positivity and mental health. And quite frankly, the shirt kind of spoke to me because I have struggled throughout my life with just my sense of self-worth. So I love the work that they're doing. And I'm going to have a link in the description of the video in case you want to check them out as well. And if you send me a message on Instagram at GameDayFeast, I could even talk to you guys about a coupon code to help you, support their business and their message. So I'm just really excited to know that I'm going to be a brand ambassador for them. And you're going to see me wearing some of their stuff from time to time. Just trying to let everybody know it's okay, and, everybody's struggling, and I've been fortunate my family hasn't been touched by coronavirus. But please check them out. Again, hereforyoushop.com. Again, there's going to be a link in the description of the video so you can see what's going on out in Boston. So we have our turkey laid out here nice and evenly over the sandwich. Again, we want to try to drain as much of the broth off as we can because we're not toasting the bread prior to assembling the sandwich. So now we're going to go with two different versions of it. I think that the gravy and the cranberry together is a little bit weird. So we're going to do one part of these, 6 of them, as a cranberry, the other one with the gravy. But before we can do any of that, we need to add more bread, believe it or not, in the form of some bread stuffing. So we're going to grab our spoon. In my case, I'm not going to make more dishes for myself. Just take the excess potato off there. And this is up to you, so you can take it in little bits, like a donut hole size, and you can put it on top of where you know each one of the sliders is going to go, right? Or you can just kind of mash this on there and make a whole nother layer, And for some of you thinking, like, this is too much bread, well, if you eat a Big Mac, it's got an extra piece of bread in the middle. I don't eat Big Macs. Not that I have anything against them, just not my cup of tea. So, the sandwich itself is actually inspired by this really awesome restaurant chain that originated in Delaware called Capriotti's. And I am a proud University of Delaware Blue Hen, right? And I'm repping my Blue Hen sweatpants, as well as the local Delaware minor league baseball team, the Blue Rocks, right? As a little nod to the Delaware inspiration here. It's the university's where I met my wife. That's where my in-laws still live. Right. Just gonna clean my hands real quick. So, the sandwich is basically Thanksgiving on a bun. And you can check out Capriotti's online to see exactly what they put on their version of the sandwich, right? But this is kind of my upscale take on it to a degree. Not that you can really call it upscale, but giving it a little bit more oomph, right? So, we have our gravy, we have our cranberry sauce, and I'm going to make more dishes for myself. And grab some big spoons. And we're almost ready to just pop this in the oven. So my oven's on 350. So it's not too hot, but it's hot enough. So we take our gravy. Not too much. Right? Enough that it's going to permeate through the stuffing and down into the turkey. But again, that mashed potato is going to keep everything from soaking into the actual bread of the sandwich. And now with the cranberry, give that a nice little stir. And we're going to drizzle that on there as well. So if anybody happens to be vegetarian, you can do the same exact slider with a meaty mushroom like a portobello, right? And if you want to, you can roast the portobellos. You can also use the same exact reheating method that we use for the turkey. Just use a vegetable broth instead, right? And you can even add in some like onions and things like that. I considered it. Maybe that's the bridge too far. So let's finish up making these sandwiches and get them in the oven because I'm starving. So you can see the assembled sandwiches here, at least everything except the top bun. So we're going to take the tops of the buns and we're going to lay them right back on top, lining everything up. Just like so. And we're going to give it just a little bit of a press to help them become one with one another. And now, don't judge me, but you're going to judge me. It's the holidays. We're going to butter the tops of the rolls here, right? Just a little bit. This is only, I think, about 1.5 tablespoons of butter that I've melted. We're not going to use anywhere near all of that, but this is going to help toast up the top of the rolls, and it's also going to be the glue for our last little addition. Okay, there we go. Get down in the corners there. And then the last thing is a little celery salt. I love the hint of the celery seed. Came out a little bit faster than I wanted, but fortunately it's on the gravy ones. And my wife likes the cranberry one, so I can brush that off. So just like a pretzel, that's going to adhere, and we're going to pop these into the oven. Do you hear that? That is the happiest sound of the holidays. So, the oven's good. We gave it 6 minutes. We're going to give it a check. And these look perfect to me. We're going to pop those out right there. All right. Oven goes off. You can already just smell that the flavors are melding. So, what we do now is we can serve these 2 different ways, as a pull-apart slider, or we can serve them as individual sliders or pairs. So, I'm going to take my knife, and I'm just going to go down and serve these as duos, right? And clean rag. Don't need to cross-contaminate the gravy into the cranberry. They're nice and soft. The knife is going through beautifully. All right. Now we just grab our spatula and we cross our fingers a little bit. Nothing's ever perfect, especially when you're doing it live. There we go. Okay. Just make sure that we get through that bread and we separate. And not that I'm one for presentation, because it's just game day after all. So we can stack them high. All right. Doesn't look like the gravy's too bad there, and then we're just going to do the same exact thing here. So, you can do these in advance too and serve them cold if you want to. Right? There's nothing wrong with that, especially if that's how you and your family like your leftovers. Right? So, you can also wait until your guests start arriving, have them pre-assembled, and you can just bake them a little bit longer in the fridge. So, then we got some extra bits here in the pan. That's for the chef. Alright. So, let's get this out of the way and try to do it without burning myself, as I am prone to do. I'll go over to my parents and they'll see one of the new burns that I have from baking. They're like, maybe you should really stop doing that. I really should take their advice. So, here we go. And let's just clean off the knife there. Okay. Always want a clean surface, clean knives. So, now it's time for that slaw. I'm just going to grab that real quick. We'll finish assembling, and we're diving into this perfect game day feast. Alright, so here we go. We have our slaw. I would like to pile it around. We'll just give that a little bit of a stir. to get that lime juice back throughout. Slaw goes around the sliders, and then you serve them with some serving spoons, and as people take their sliders, they can add the slaw to the sandwich if they want. You could serve it in a separate dish too. I just really like the presentation of this. So, let's take a look at what we have. Tell me if your guest showed up and saw this plate of sliders that they wouldn't be ready to dive in. The only thing that's left for us to do now is give it a taste. Alright, I like the ones with the gravy, so I'm just going to pull that apart. You can see that the gravy is kind of dripped throughout. And I'm going to add just a little bit of the slaw to the slider. I don't mind using my fingers, it's just for me at the moment. So, gives it a little bit of a crunch here, and I see some nice thigh meat, so let's... So the mashed potato just kind of like explodes into your mouth. It's still nice and creamy. You can taste the turkey, and it isn't dry, right? It's taken that broth back in and it's rejuvenated it. There's a little bit of acidity from the slaw, gives it a bit of a crunch. And then you have all of the, the seasonings that you've added into not only the turkey, but the bread stuffing as well. This is exactly what I want for a mid-afternoon snack, or, polish off a half dozen or so for a meal while you're watching the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment if there's anything else that you want to see. And then I'll see you guys next time for another episode of Game Day Feast.